everybody. Welcome to the TraderMerlin Show for your Wednesday edition. Happy Hump Day to all of you. Topic today, of course, as you saw from my wonderful AI post there, we're going to talk about Disney's earnings a little bit and maybe is it a buying opportunity, as I received one question on that one. And I think we talked about this in the past. People were asking, is it a time to buy Disney? And it was just consolidating, not just moving sideways. The story may have changed. So there is our lovely graphic for today. You've got to love the AI. And before I get started and all that, yesterday we did a discussion, I guess conveying to you my nerdiness and how I'm using apps when I go shopping to save me on my groceries. And I brought up the topic of energy consumption and off-peak hours. So I wanted to make sure I got my numbers straight because I was kind of just throwing numbers out there yesterday. Let me read the numbers from my bill just so you know. Off-peak hours. So there's peak hours are, for, at least for me anyway, down here from 4 to 9 p.m. That's 51 cents, call it 52 cents per kilowatt hour. All right, fine. Off-peak drops a little bit. That goes to 39 cents per kilowatt hour. And that's really from, looks to be about midnight till 8 a.m. All right, that's fine. From 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. is super off-peak, and that drops to 35 cents. So it's not half as much, but certainly it's a significant discount to do any dishes or laundry or water heating, any type of stuff that uses energy consumption, at least for me here in SoCal, to do it between, what time did I say, 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. Anyway, got to get my numbers out there. And that's right, the Sly Dog song is The Who. I think it's called the Lonely Guy song or something like that. Got to love the music tweets you put in there every day, Sly. I appreciate it. It's fun. Okay, let's dive right into Disney's earnings. Of course, you may have seen their chart after hours doing a little bit of happy dancing, up about 3% in the after hours session. Here is Disney right now. And you can see from a chart perspective, it really didn't do anything for the past couple months. I'm going to draw a little box around here just so you know my typical, I love to draw boxes around where I see range-bound prices. And that yellow box going all the way back into August, really we haven't done much. It's bounced between $79 and $86 on Disney, which of course creates some opportunities. And for now, it's a question of, is this the moment that it breaks out? You see right now we're trading at $87.79, actually up 3.85%, which means we are outside of that range. Does this hold? Does this mean that this is the turning point for Disney? Well, I think we'd have to look into some of those numbers because the chart certainly looks ugly, and maybe this is the reversal point. So let me run through some of the numbers that reported today, which I thought were actually very interesting. I'm not a huge Disney fan, but the numbers look pretty darn good. Start things off with their revenue. Quarter over quarter, they increased 5%, and year over year, 7%. So great news for Disney to be posting positive numbers for revenue growth year over year and quarter over quarter, which I thought that was pretty. The markets should rally 9 points off this news, 9%. I don't think so, buddy. Not a chance. It's already gone just absolutely crazy with the rally to the upside that's currently underway. But anyway, based off the revenue numbers to start off with, looks pretty good for Disney at this point. Now, the other numbers here are going to be earnings per share, right? What are they making quarter over quarter and year over year? So when you look at their EPS numbers, they went from 9 cents to 14 quarter over quarter. That's a pretty significant jump for the quarter. And in my opinion, obviously represents good things going on for Disney, even though the chart for the quarter has been totally sideways. That's a pretty significant piece of news here, at least in my opinion, for Disney. However, the numbers, when you look at them, earnings per share year over year, have gone from 129 to 175, which is an even better set of data points. So these three pieces of information here looking great for Disney. I mean, especially in a period of time where people are talking about economic slowdown and markets starting to look a little bit weak. Disney's chart certainly looks weak. I mean, if you go back to its high point back in February of 2023, that thing was up over $118. And here we are now down at 86. So that, I'll do a percentage slide here so you can see what happened from that drop. So we're down about 28% as we stand right now on Disney, and it's even worse when you go back to its peak in 2020. Go back to actually 2021. From its peak to where we are right now, Disney is currently down 58% off of its all-time highs. Now, there's a lot of factors to it, right? This is not a one-dimensional company. Big Eb says Disney is poorly run, in my humble opinion. It might be, but now all of a sudden they're starting to make some changes. And when you have a company that has been struggling, obviously you go through and you make a bunch of changes. And they made statements in the past they're going to cut costs significantly to the tune, I think it was $5.5 billion that they were looking to cut. Obviously, that means layoffs. That means people getting booted out of the company. That means streamlining operations or maybe killing off operations that are draining the company. But you save yourself $5.5 billion, earnings become a little bit easier to come by when you have all those expenses out of the way. So let's go and look at some more numbers. Yes, we can talk about the prices at Disney parks, which is absolutely ridiculous. I agree with you, Dwight. I'm kind of a nerd. I like Disneyland, but I hate crowds like that. I love crowds in general just because I'm a people watcher. But when I go to Disneyland, I don't want to spend $200 for a ticket, $85 for lunch, and then I have to wait 2 hours to ride a ride. That's just absurd to me. I think South Park did a hilarious spoof one time where they called it the line ride. And basically you get in a line and that's the whole ride. You basically just spend 2 hours in the line, you get to the front and the ride's over. It's like, wait a minute. I thought there was a ride after. No, this was the ride. And I feel like Disneyland is that way sometimes. So kind of annoying at how Disney is just so crowded and expensive. But look, if it was $200 and I could just walk in and spend 5 minutes in each line, I'd probably be okay with that because I could do the whole park in a day. As it stands now, I might get five rides if I'm lucky. It's nuts over there. Yeah, so yes, I agree. And have fun at Epcot. I love Epcot. Epcot was great. So Les down there from Cape Canaveral, you're closer than I am. I would probably go there. I'd probably get a season pass if I lived down there. A lot of fun. Just so much to do. Bring your own lunches and save yourself some money that way. More data. So that's the basic numbers that everyone in the mainstream media is looking at, which is going to be revenue and earnings per share, both of which I would give them 2 thumbs up for that one. Uh-oh, here comes the Siskel and Ebert in me. So let's talk about some of the magic numbers, at least that I saw during the press conference or the press release and the statements that they made. This is probably the biggest one. They had expected to come out at 2.68 million subscribers, new subscribers. They actually came out at 7. This is huge. When you look at the fees that they're charging for Disney Plus, and then you add on 7 million new subscribers, that's fantastic, especially at a point where people like myself literally have written out a spreadsheet of all the things I spend my monthly expenses on, and I'm now looking at all my subscription services going, which one of these can I cut? Disney I cut a long time ago. I'm probably going to cut my Netflix because they're going to raise here soon, and I've got other channels I could be watching. So to me, this is a pretty impressive feat to boost your subscriber base by 7 million when it seems like we're going into a period where people might want to be cutting some of these. Bravo. And of course, that is a pretty optimistic piece, which I think is why you're seeing them pop in the after-hour session. More magic numbers. And that one comes in the face of cost cutting, which I just mentioned. They had a benchmark before of $5.5 billion. They're adding another $2 billion worth of cost cutting to Disney. So for anybody here who works for Disney, or anybody here who knows someone who works for Disney, there might be some challenging times ahead, right? They may go down to just skeleton crews and bare bones. I mean, that's going to be a lot of cost cutting to get rid of $7.5 billion of expenses. Now, there's obviously some low-lying fruit and just evaluation of management and employees, but we'll see how they get there. If they do that, that's going to be better for their bottom line overall. So you've got great earnings, you got great revenue, and you're starting to see improvements from what I will say are just future drivers, which are reducing your cost and getting more subscribers in the door. So all in all, looking pretty good. Now, there's 2 statements I wanted to get to. I actually lumped them together here, so I apologize for that. But in their release, he says, we expect to grow free cash flow in fiscal 2024 significantly versus fiscal 2023, approaching levels last seen pre-pandemic. This is a great sign because pre-pandemic, the markets are just trending aggressively to the upside. Disney looked pretty good from a trend perspective. Here's what it looked like before COVID. All right, so let me zoom in here. You have this is what it looked like before COVID hit. So all in all, things are looking pretty darn good for Disney, all right? Look pretty darn good. It means that a lot of cash flow. Free cash flow is great because what it does, it gives them a tremendous amount of flexibility with regards to purchasing other companies and maybe integrating some other business models or businesses into their own expansion. It just gives them a lot more flexibility. So I think that that's a great sign. The second comment he made, this is from Roger Iger, the president. He said, while we still have work to do, these efforts have allowed us to move beyond this period of fixing and begin building our businesses again. I actually really like this statement. And of course, you know that this is written by some master script writer that is used to writing press releases. But, when you make the statement of we're beyond the period of fixing. It's like, okay, we've stemmed the bleeding. We've stopped all the real pain. Now let's focus on getting back to growth and watching our stock move to the upside. And he actually did address shareholders in the release statement that I read. So I was like, okay, all in all, feeling pretty decent about Disney's current state. Now, when we look back at the chart, this is where it all really, comes down to brass tacks, which is, what are you going to do here, right? Let's see, slide. What are we saying here? I got a ton of chat to read through, so give it to me. Let me give me just a second to read through all this in a second. When you look at this price chart, you got to kind of wonder, is Disney just a screaming buy at this point at $86 or $87? And I think many people here would say, well, it's still overvalued. I know Big Eb says it's poorly run, or at least he believes it's poorly run. They obviously have major issues going on with Disney World in Florida and DeSantis and all that posturing that's going back and forth. I don't know how all that's going to play out. What I do know is they added different movies to their Disney Plus, and that's probably a big reason why they got so many new subscribers. The question is, how does it sustain long term? If you're a sports fan, I am addicted to ESPN. So, I'll always, in a way, be supporting ESPN because ESPN's owned by Disney, and I am a big fan of that. On this price chart, though, my rules. At least I think most of you know kind of how I would view this. I would say when you're in a downtrend like this, you don't buy it until it starts making some higher highs. Well, today, after hours, you have the higher high bit being put in. Right now, when we look at this yellow box is that area where I would say, don't do anything. If it breaks above it, you're looking to go long. If it breaks below it, you're looking to go short. If it goes sideways, then you're Tom looking to make spread trades on this one. So with that, we've now gapped up out of it. We're at 87.12, which is where this little horizontal line is. I'll put a more bold one there so you viewers can see it. There you go. Right about where that little red dashed line is. That's where we are currently. The question is this that buy point for Disney that says, okay, we've done it, we've turned the corner, we've rebounded? I'll be honest, I'm still skeptical. I still think that there's economic difficulty ahead for all the economy, and that may have in turn an impact on Disney. But the fact that it's finally breached this sideways consolidation and the earnings numbers are significantly better than they were before, I actually feel more positive and optimistic on Disney. Now, I'm probably not going to buy Disney, not really my thing, but I wanted to share that with you because it may have an impact on the markets. It's going to be one of the pieces that people talk about because, hey, it's one of the few out there that did real good on earnings season. So I like that one. Now, let me read through some of these questions here. I know I've got a ton of them going through, so I apologize if I spend time reading the chat here. Tom Disney, yep. Let's see. Let me get that out of there. What other questions comes to have? Been a while, but we'd only go to Disney off times. Yeah, refuse to deal with all those lines and crowds, but that was a few years ago. Years ago, and I don't know if it's still available, but when the internet, when I was just a total geek about this, someone asked me if I wanted to go to Disneyland and said, yeah, but I can't stand the lines. So I found Disney attendance data. I believe that that's public somewhere because I found the spreadsheets, and I found the day of the year. There's one day of the year that is the lowest attended day of the year. And of course, the way my brain thinks is that's more bang for my buck, right? I get to go and ride all the rides. I'll tell you what, it was absolutely incredible. It was the best time I've ever had at Disneyland because there was almost nobody there. I went to Space Mountain. And when you get to the beginning of the lines, which kind of snake through the trees or whatever it is, usually the lines, just once you get to the front, it's like an hour wait at least. And they usually have a clock that says your wait for this is, 5 hours. I got to Space Mountain and said, your wait's 5 minutes. And the wait wasn't even a wait. It's how long it took me to walk from that sign to the terminal to get on the roller coaster. Not one person in front of me, an empty roller coaster. I sat in the front seat, and as soon as we came back on the station, there was nobody waiting. The guy says, you want to go again? Bring it on, buddy. Let's do a double. So you're probably wondering, Merlin, what day of the year is that? What day of the year are you talking about, right? If you don't want to know, I'll just shut up right now because I no problem. But if you do want to know, type it in the chat. Big Ab, speaking of buying, did you take any XLE trades today? I did. Big Ab, I actually went with the $80 strikes expiring December 8th, and I collected 99 cents worth of premium. So still very risky. I mean, you saw what happened with crude oil today. Let's show you that one. tip that guy. Yeah, I should have, right? I should have. Nope, it's not Thanksgiving. It's not Christmas Day. It's interesting because when you think of Thanksgiving or Christmas Day, a lot of companies will go on vacation, and it's actually fairly crowded on those days. There's one day in particular where almost every child goes back to school. That's when it is. Because no parent wants their kid to miss the first day of school, right? That's just bad idea. So it is the first Wednesday in September. There you go. The first Wednesday of September is the day that it is the least attended day. At least it was. This is probably 5-6 years ago. But just putting it out there, guys. Back to school day. That's right, Dave. Not only back to school day, because I think back to school starts on a Tuesday, but you go on a Wednesday, right? Middle of the week. There's nobody there. It's just like, oh. So for those of you guys that decide to go to Disneyland, there you go. That is the secret sauce. And it may have changed. You can pull up the attendance statistics for the different parks that you go to. The statistics that I was reading were for the one here in Southern California. And man, what a difference it made. Oh, God, it was incredible. I want to know because usually it's almost closing time when you get to go on the ride. Yeah, exactly. The only thing that was bad, there were like 2 rides. I forgot which ones, but they were closed for the day. So what? I mean, when I don't have to wait at all for a ride, that's a victory in my book. Ugh, I really hate waiting. So anyway, the useless things that you guys find out on this program. Let's see. Let me scroll back up here. Did they get full price for the 7 million subscribers, or was that thrown in with other services? That I don't know. Don't know. I didn't dig deep enough to find that one out, Tom. But it's a good question. Let's see. I'll get to your question on Bitcoin in a minute, Betty. Let's see. Okay, I know this is almost wrong. You're a Bitcoin as well. Let me get to that one in a second. I would earn more money if they quit overpaying CEOs. We all would. I will say this. I think it's ridiculous what CEOs get paid. However, if you can bring in a CEO that takes a struggling company like Disney and can turn it around and get it back to a point of profitability, innovation. To me, when I think Disney, I think of imagination and I think of innovation, right? That to me is thinking outside the box, differently, futuristic. Disney represents creativity. At least that's what I think Walt Disney intended it to be initially was, this is an expression of creativity, and let's ride that. And I think Disney needs to get back to those roots and just do things that are different than what they've normally done. I believe that Walt Disney was rejected for jobs because they were like, your stuff's just too wacko. It's just out there. It's not our style. And he said, well, I'll create my own thing. And all of a sudden became one of the biggest franchises in the world. So I would hope that the leadership there gets back together and says, let's not do conform to mainstream stuff. Let's do just different things and try to push the envelope as Walt Disney did way back in the 50s. So anyway, so that's my Disney talk track for today. Let's run through our top 7 marketplaces out there, or at least top 8 marketplaces, and see what we got cooking for today. A surprising day. I've just been waiting for this damn Nasdaq to roll over, and it just will not do it. I'll start with crude oil. Crude oil is, yesterday's show we'll talked about more pain, and that pain continued. And I mentioned that on yesterday's show that I actually do think you're going to see the pain point continue for crude oil just because that's the trend here. Now, I still am holding on to a $100 price by the end of the year, but again, every day it does this, the probability of hitting 100 by the end of December diminishes significantly. Now, when we broke those lows from mid-August, typically what will happen is it'll start to accelerate. Now, at least for right now, we are coming into areas of demand, right around 75 you have some, you got some around 80. This is on CL, excuse me. But you have some right around 75, and then you can also go a little bit lower here and look right around 73. So all in all, it's, there might be a bounce point coming here, but I think the talk track, the narrative that the media is pushing is you're watching demand destruction. Nobody wants crude oil anymore. We're not shipping goods from China over, less oil consumption. We're not in a major offensive hostile attack yet for Iran and Hamas and Israel. That may be another factor, but really it's about the narrative from the media is demand destruction, right? We've gone out of the super busy summer travel months, unless you live here in Southern California, which is 77 degrees today. We're in fall, people. It's fall and I'm 77 degrees. I'm sweating up here again. Tough stuff, but I'll survive. Yeah, maybe we do see crude oil continue down. Now, that said, I will fill you in on the trade that I made. Big Ed brought this one up yesterday. I was definitely looking at it. I brought up XLE because I'd rather go with something that's more diversified. Now, at what point am I looking for XLE to fall to? Well, I have this lower red line here, which was $80. And I drew it out there kind of expecting, we did this yesterday, and I think, Big Ed, when you brought it up to us yesterday, it was going to be like 70 cents for the $80 strike price or something like that. It was less than 1%. Well, today it surged, and we saw XLE offer a bit more premium. So I sold today the $80 strike price puts on XLE, which means, for those who don't know, I'm telling the world I am happy to buy it. I will buy it at $80, which represents about a 4.55% slide from current price, right? We'll call it roughly 5%. Oh, no, I'm sorry, not from current price. Current price today would be a 3.31% slide from current price. I would say that that's a very risky trade, right? We're only 3% away from it, and it fell 1.25% today. And over the past couple of days has been an aggressive sell-off. I mean, just the past 4 trading sessions from peak to where we are right now, you've fallen 5.85%. So there's a very good chance that I might get executed on this. Now, part of the reason that I chose that $80 strike price, it was 70 cents yesterday. Nice. Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks. Did you go in? Did you get any Big M? Are you on that one as well? What expiration, Lisa? December 8th. I was going to go longer, but I just don't want to give it that much time. So if you think about it, there's the vertical line where my cursor is, where this blue line ends here. That's the expiration date. So I have until, I'll put a vertical line on it for us all. Boom, boom, boom. I have until that vertical line till my options expire. And we'll see. Hopefully they expire worthless. If they do get hit, remember my average price is not going to be $80. My average price, let me put in the coordinates here, is going to be 79.01. So I got 99 cents. So that's this lower line, which I will make green just so we can see it more clearly. Oh, great. I got to pick what color green is. I think it might be green. Call it a day. Really makes no difference. I can't tell the difference between those lines. Let's make it black. Makes it much easier. So this lower black line here would be my average price. So there we go. That's, I looked at XLE today. I didn't buy it. No worries. I did not. Okay, I'm the only one. I'm left hanging. It's all good. We'll see. Again, this is risky, right? I'm definitely looking at catching a falling knife at this point. So, yeah, if you don't have the appetite for risk, don't take this one. But I was happy with it. If I spend $80, I'm getting 99 cents in return. That's 1.1, a little over 1.1% rate of return for 1 month. I'm fine with that in this account. And long term, I think I'll be fine with XLE. Again, I don't believe that we're going to be dying with energy anytime soon. And not to mention, that's one factor. If you look at the second factor, which is, you guys see this chart right here, I drew in this ascending triangle. We have not broken this yet. Right? Even though my expectation is that we are, I kind of feel we are, we haven't broken this uptrend line on XLE that goes across the lows that start back in July 11th of 2022. It's making higher lows. Now, it didn't make a new high right around 94 bucks. Can't seem to break that yet, but I'm still kind of anticipating it respecting this uptrend line. So if that happens, great. I'll keep all my premium, and XLE will move to the upside. So let's wait and see what happens here with XLE. But yes, I did take that trade today. I am long. I sold the puts on XLE. $80 strike price expiring December 8th, collected 99 cents. There you go. That's that trade. All right, what else do we have? I wanted to get through our whole list here, so let me do that, and I'll go to the cryptocurrency side of things. So crude oil, again, not helping that. Second day in a row of just really big sell-off here. I can add on volume. Volume is a little bit higher than average, so no capitulation yet. We are coming into some area of demand that goes back to July of this year. Moving up the ladder, Russell 2000 now 1.14%. I will get rid of the volume. We talked about this a couple days ago when Russell was rallying up on Friday. Said, you're coming right into overhead supply after a 5-day rally. I expected a pullback. Now, I was expecting a pullback for the S&P, the Russell, the Dow, Nasdaq. I've only gotten the pullback really on the Russell. Russell down for the last 3 trading sessions today, 1.14%. So trend still in place to the downside on the Russell. Gold got hurt again today as well. You're down 0.8%. So you're looking at a 7-day slide. There were 2 up days in that, but a 7-day slide here on gold, which is not good. From peak to where we are right now, you're looking at a slide about 3.14% on gold. Now, I don't have a big position in gold. Unfortunately, my bigger position here is in silver, which was down 0.39% today. And I thought we would see momentum and maybe even close those gaps that go back into early October. Hopefully we do not. I have calls on my positions that expire next Friday, so we will see what ultimately happens there. I think I have the 2250s and the 23 call options against my current silver position. So we'll collect that premium and it's going to expire worthless, most likely. Continuing up the ladder, I'm going to skip Bitcoin because I got multiple questions on Bitcoin. I'll get to that in a second. The 10-year, ooh, boy. Didn't like it because we knifed through on Friday's session. You can see that long tail there. We broke below those lows, which kind of makes it nerve-wracking. But I was like, no, we haven't closed below. Well, today we did. Today we closed below 4.5%, 4.49 to be precise. If you look at the 10-year bond auction today, it was good for anybody who's bullish on the markets, right? Previous auction was 4.61%. Now we're at 4.52. So same amount sold. Good sign for anybody that's into the bond market here. All in all, it continues to show weakness. I'm really surprised. I just see more factors pushing this one up. And, I guess it goes back to the thing where it says the markets can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. And the other one that my mentor always said was the markets do what least people expect it to do. In this case, I think most people are expecting bond yields to rise, and rightfully so. All of a sudden, we're seeing an about face there with bond yields, which has been just really surprising to me to see it drop this much. I mean, 50 basis points in 2 weeks is really a colossal decline in bond yields. And what it speaks to me is not a lot of confidence about the future. Not really good. All right, let's go to dollar index. So dollar index, little tiny shooting star today, tiny little guy there. So maybe we do see some more downside movement here. Again, I've been bullish on the dollar and still remain bullish on the dollar, but the fact that we broke below those lows on Friday, not painting a pretty picture for our markets going forward. Actually, for the dollar going forward. 1 second, Manti. I'll get to that. So a little shooting star here today. For anybody who knows my rules on shooting star, you are waiting for it to break the lows of the session, which are right here. 105.449 is the low of today's candle on the dollar index. So if we open up above that line and then start moving down below it, there may be a shorting opportunity for dollar-denominated pairs, which also means bullishness for the equity market. So interesting setup here with the dollar, even though it's not truly a shooting star, right? I think you guys all know that we want to have a shooting star, which is today's candle, at the peak of an uptrend, right? All right, final two, Nasdaq and S&P. So Nasdaq, we've got that trend line on the Nasdaq futures. It's come to overhead supply. It's hit its head on that trend line for the second consecutive day. It moved ever so slightly to the upside, 0.08% gain. A fairly narrow range day, right? At one point it was starting to roll over and then it kind of came ripping back up and closed slightly higher. So all in all, really great news for the Nasdaq to be holding here. But for anybody who's really bullish, you really need the Nasdaq to get above 15,468. That's about 80 points higher than where we are right now. If we get above that, then I think you got a much more optimistic that this rally is going to continue. If it doesn't clear this area of supply that we're in right now, then I think that pressure is going to kick back in and push this thing down. Nasdaq or the S&P, similar picture. Here we are. We tiptoed into that yellow box supply zone that I have drawn on the S&P chart, which goes from 4,400 to 4,430. Now, we didn't close in it. We just barely kissed it. I've now pulled back down out of it. We'll see if we get that continuation here in tomorrow's trading session. So that is your top 7 markets, and here's your 8th, Bitcoin. All in all, Bitcoin looks fine, right? We are trending up. Even though it looks really choppy and awkward, these candles, it's still moving up. So all in all, fine with it. I saw multiple questions here on Bitcoin. So let me scroll back and read these ones. So Betty had one. There's a couple in here. Betty said, Merlin, has Bitcoin formed a double top with the November 2nd and November 7th candles? No. Too small of a time frame. I think you're looking at this candle here and this candle here, I wouldn't call that a double top. It's way too close together. What I'm more interested in is these lows. Notice it seems with consistency, we're making higher lows in Bitcoin. That is the most important piece because that is kind of the basis of the trend. That keeps on going, great. Bitcoin's going to move higher to the upside. Now, if you were looking at something like, let's say, a 15-minute time frame, and you're like, oh, I've got a double top, sure. Yeah, this could be considered a double top, but what am I really going to try to be gaining out of this? It's going to be a much smaller move. The bigger picture, and this is why I always encourage everyone to look at markets from different perspectives, This is the picture I'm concerned about. It's that trend. Higher highs, higher lows. It's been going on since we really broke the downtrend back here in January of this year. So all in all, even though it's not aggressive and you're not getting these, 10, 15, 20% moves up every day for Bitcoin, I love what I'm seeing. Traverse. Actually, one of the ones that for my CIL students, you guys know my latest edition was a decentralized storage crypto called Storj, STORJ. And lucky for me, that thing's up 52% today. This has been just hallelujah. Loving this one. I don't know what the news is on it, but decentralized data storage, I think, is a very interesting topic. And it hasn't done much. And all of a sudden today, 52%. Chainlink also up 14%. Anybody who's taken a class with me, I've been saying that you have to have oracles in your portfolio. If you are into crypto and you don't have an oracle in there, then you really don't believe in crypto. Because cryptocurrencies like Ethereum, Algorand, Solana, Chainlink, all these cryptos, digital assets essentially, function because of smart contracts. And Chainlink is like the biggest oracle. A smart contract, for those who may not know, is simply a piece of code that says whatever the contract is. So let's say Sly Dog, right? Let's say Sly Dog, you posted today from the Who, which is from the UK. Now let's go into something US. Let's just gonna say Sly Dog is a Seattle Seahawks fan, and I'm a 49ers fan. And we make a wager on who's gonna win on Thanksgiving evening, right? Niners play the Seahawks on Thanksgiving night. Well, I'm gonna bet on the Niners. He's gonna bet on the Seahawks. Fine. At the end of it, I don't know where Sly Dog lives, but at some point, one of us is gonna have to collect on that bet. And we let's say it's a $100 bet. I deposit $100, he deposits $100. So now the money's in the system. There's no me trying to get it from him or him trying to get it from me. And hey, you gotta pay me up, bro. I want my money. My Niners won. None of that. What happens is it sits in a piece of code that is on the blockchain. So let's say it's on Ethereum. We make this wager. We put in $100. That smart contract simply says on Thanksgiving evening, the results of the 49ers Seahawks game, whatever happens there, if the Niners win, the money goes to Merlin's account. If the Niners lose, it goes to Sly Dog's account. That's it. But blockchains don't go out and get external information, right? Bitcoin's blockchain does not go out and check the weather. It does not go out and see who's president. It does not go out and see, what's going on in Israel. It has nothing to do with that. So an oracle is written into the smart contracts and says, I will go out and get this information for you and then report it to the smart contract. So without an oracle, smart contracts, wagering, swap sites, dexes, none of it exists. It's all completely irrelevant. You have to have oracles. So things like Chainlink ripping today because of that. Isn't Bitcoin owned by the government? No. What do I mean? So Lisa, did I explain oracle? Hopefully I got that one a little bit clearer. Let me go back. There was one other question I wanted to get to. I can't remember where that one was. It was early on about Bitcoin. Hold on as I wait for the results there and make sure I was kind of clear. KF says, I know this is irrelevant. Nothing's irrelevant, brother. It's all good. But what do you think about the crazy move that Bitcoin is making right now? Do you think it's going to break through the resistance and make new highs for the year? I do. And I think predominantly my hypothesis, which is all it is, right? It's just speculation. It's my opinion. And again, I've been wrong many, many times. You all know that, and I'm happy to admit it. My speculation is that we're going to see a spot Bitcoin ETF approved by the end of the year. I thought it was going to happen in August, but the SEC was dragging their feet. Now, I really think it's going to happen in November. And if it doesn't happen in November, it will happen. I'm willing to bet any amount of money. If someone wants to take me up on that wager, I'll bet you anything that we're going to get a spot Bitcoin ETF. It will happen. The question is when. I do believe it's going to be this year, but we could see our regulators and our inept politicians bicker about it and drag it for another couple months, few months, maybe sometime next year, but we're going to get it. And that's why you're seeing that big surge, because the realization is that these firms, there's 9 of them that are trying to have a spot Bitcoin ETF. If they are approved, all of them are going to have to buy Bitcoin. And again, it's not like there's infinite Bitcoin. It's just not infinite Bitcoin. There's a limited amount. So there you go. Auburn. All right. Oh, of Seattle. I was thinking Auburn down south. Roll Tide. Christopher says, so Chris, you're going to take the bet that at no point from today going forward, at no point are we going to have a spot Bitcoin ETF. That's what your bet is. I'm saying we're going to have one at some point in the future. I'll take whatever you want to wager, brother. Oh, that's easy money. That's taking candy from a baby right there. It's going to happen in some point. If you want to take that bet, Chris, let's do it. We'll do a wager. We can do monetary or do something fun. Sly, you moved up by Seattle from San Diego? What happened, man? You just too much sunshine? No, that's War Eagle. I thought War. Oh, okay. Just check. Hey, Chris, I'm one to take that kind of bet. So I was over here rubbing my hands, going, "This is gonna be easy. It's just gonna be a matter of time." All right, what else do we have for today? There was I can't remember the symbol. Someone asked me. I didn't get a chance to put it into the materials. It was like CREV. 1 second here. It was a crazy move up. Someone asked me, like, how do these kind of moves happen? This is it. Yeah. Oh man. Here you have a company called CREV, Twin Ridge Capital Acquisition Corporation, and I don't remember the individual. It came through this morning, so I apologize. I didn't add you to the slides. I always like giving people credit when they ask questions, so my apologies for not putting your name on the screen and giving me a little props. But I do appreciate the question. And the question was, how do moves like this happen, right? And what do you do with it? Look, this stock, or whatever the hell it is, was trading at $7 on Thursday. On Monday, it hit high of $197.99. So if you're looking at straight rate of return, this thing looks like a pump and dump crypto, right? Just unbelievable. You're looking at a gain of 2,669% in 2 days. Holy cow, right? Everybody here wishes they got into that one. Everybody. Well, you didn't. Why does this happen, right? When we looked at the filter yesterday for hammers and shooting stars, my candlestick filters, you heard me say, I'm looking for volume. I need liquidity. So one of the things that you have to look at with all of this type of stuff, if you ever are thinking about buying something, please look at the open interest. Not open interest. If you're using options, look at open interest. But look at the volume, right? How much liquidity is there? So if we look at volume here, going into yesterday, well, let's just go last week. This thing was trading 36,000, 26,000 shares a day. All right, so maybe we need to get a little bit more transparency. So what I do is I will typically go out to Yahoo Finance, and I will bring up the symbol right now for you guys, CREV. I'm willing to bet that the vast majority of you do not do this, and you should do it if you're thinking about buying anything that's had a crazy move. And here's why. I thought it was CREV. Carbon Revolution Public Limited Company. All right, it's funny because on the screen here it says Twin Ridge Capital Acquisition. So this is a SPAC. Oh, that's nice. There's another SPAC. So that's another reason why I would just stay away from that one. One thing to make a note of is look at how many shares are out there. So if we go to this Carbon Revolution Public Limited Company, this is the new acquisition. Scroll down or click on statistics and just look at how many shares are outstanding. What's the float look like? So right here you have shares outstanding, not available. Wait a minute, this is a publicly traded company and there's no record of actually how many shares exist? That is a monumental red flag. I mean, it could not be bigger. And there's only 20 million shares available in circulation. So for those who may not know how this works, you have two factors. One's called shares outstanding, which is all of the shares that exist in the world. And then you have float. Float is how many are on the public market that you and I can access. So this security has 20.7 million, only 20 million out there. This has got fewer shares than Bitcoin. Well, that's kind of funny. That said, let me ask you guys a question. Let's take a company like Apple. What's the float? Right? How many shares are in circulation in the world of Apple? And don't look it up right now. Just take a guess. Just take a guess. And how many shares do you think are available for Apple on the open market for anybody to buy and sell as of this second right now? I will bring it up here on Yahoo Finance so we can see the difference. And I'll actually pull these up side by side. So type in the chat what you guys think. How many shares of Apple are on the market? If you wanted to buy all of them right now on the open market, how many could you buy? Assuming you had infinite money. I mean, you need more than Elon Musk money, but... All right, so why is it not bringing up Apple? AAPL. On Apple here. Okay, I click on statistics. Any guesses? No guesses? All right, well, here is Apple's numbers. 2 million? No, not even close. So you can see here, I'll highlight in blue. You have 15.53 billion shares outstanding. And there's 15.54 billion float, which means that there's literally 900 million shares. Wow, that just seems so crazy. 900 million shares that are outside of circulation. That might be shares that Apple is holding on their books, somewhere like that. But they have 15.5 billion shares. So when there's news on Apple and everybody tries to buy, there are so many shares out there. It's like trying to move a cruise ship. Yes, it can move quickly, but not that quickly. Now, if we look over at that other C-Rev thing, 20 million? Look, that's one trade for Apple. That's unbelievable. This thing is nuts. I wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole. This is look, what we could do. I mean, if you guys really want to do something shady and make a lot of money, here's how you do it. All right? I'm rolling up my sleeves right now. I'm shirtless, but if you want to make a lot of money right now and you have no moral backbones, you have no concern for your fellow human beings, and you're just a complete a-hole, here's what you do. You start a group like this, right? And you build the following. We all work together. We collude, which technically you're not allowed to do, but we all collude. And we say, okay, everybody, does everybody have $1,000 to commit right now to buying something? Okay, I'm in. You got your Robinhood account open. Okay, what I want you guys to do is we're all going to go out there and we're going to type in CREV. And everybody's going to hit buy button at the same moment. And what that's going to do is that's going to create a surge spike that looks like this. Now, some of you guys are going to get screwed. Some of you guys are going to, because someone's going to hit the button later than somebody else, and you're going to pay a way higher price. Because if we have 100 people in the room, and I get 100,000 people to buy all at once, this is exactly what happened here, right? There was 191,000 shares traded on Monday, and that jumped it from $30 to $200. Only 190,000. So what happens, guys, is this is what happens all the time in the industry. It drives me nuts. Is there are groups that do exactly what I'm talking about. They're Reddit. Yep, I see Reddit here. All of a sudden, Reddit, Wall Street bets type of things. You get together as a group. You find something like this that has almost no shares available. I can run a scan and filter and say, show me all the stocks that have float of like under 10 million shares. So what we'll do is we'll go out there and let's say we each commit 1,000. What I'll tell everybody is, okay, on Monday, I want you all to buy $500 worth at 101, at noon. Hit that button to buy $500 worth. When we all buy collectively, huge candle. That's a God candle, right? Then what we do is you go out on social media and you start talking about this thing. Like, dude, you got to check out this company. It's going to the moon. The next day, I tell everybody buy another $250 worth. Another candle. And I say next day, you're going to buy $200 worth. Another big, by this time, it's shown up on these watch lists like this. One second, let me bring it up here. So on TradingView, if you click on this little flame on the right-hand side, it brings up the biggest gainers and losers. By that point, you're going to be one of the biggest gainers out there, like KRRO, right? This is going to create a very similar situation where you have this just gigantic move to the upside. Well, what happens is all the retail plebes jump in. All these people are like, oh my gosh, I don't know what they do, but it's moving. And then we end up selling our full $1,000 worth, which is now worth probably $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $10,000. And we do it all over again and repeat. Rinse, wash, and repeat over and over again. That's what this is. This CREV thing. That's exactly what this is. This is a thinly traded, highly illiquid security that had minimal people buy into it and move it, pop this thing up, and someone got left holding the bag. A total, as Christopher says, it's a scam. Yeah, I hate it. I hate it. The people, when I taught the class in Irvine a couple weeks back, there were a couple people in the class that all they were looking at were these biggest gainers and biggest losers. I'm like, stop looking at that garbage. Stop it. You don't want to mess with anything on this list. Nothing. Look at the average volumes like 100,000, 200,000. Let's look at the biggest gainer, KRRO. And let's do that same analysis. How many shares of KRRO are currently out there? Let's just look at KRRO. I know nothing about this one. Coro. All right. Wow, it's up 68% today, up another 21% in the after-hour session, and doesn't even tell you the float. I mean, come on, man. This could be anything. This is like fraud. Honestly, the regulators should be on stuff like this. You should not be able to list if they can't give you how many shares are outstanding. Crazy. Anyway, I could go on and on about that. So to the individual who asked about CREV, run away. Leave it alone. Honestly, don't touch SPACs. Leave specialty purpose acquisition companies alone and just go. Are there enough shares to even short it? No, I wouldn't short it. It's just too dangerous, right? When you have that low of liquidity, all it takes is a little bit of consistent buying, which if you look at what happened with GameStop, right? Which we all know the GameStop story. Of course, now it's like so old, I have to scroll way back here to get to it. Oh man, it doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but there it is. You know, this is essentially what you had, same situation. GameStop had a ton of shares short, right? It was 140% of all the shares were short on GameStop. Wall Street Bets discovered that, and they just started buying, and they convinced everyone to buy more, and they kept pushing this thing slowly up. It stopped people out, right? Tom says, I am laughing thinking about editing this down to how to make the next GameStop. Good thing I don't edit videos. Do it, man. Do it. Get me in trouble. I'm going to have the regulators come after me and say that Merlin's a scammer. He was trying to get... Watch the full video, people. But am I wrong, Tom? You know this exists. You've been in this industry long enough. I mean, it's just frightening how easy and susceptible people can be to these types of scams and fraudulent claims and just manipulation games. I mean, if I was in my 20s, I may have actually done something like this if I had the connections and group. Knowing what I know now, why not? Just bring a group of people together. We all commit to like $10,000 in this account. We all get on some, Zoom room and say, hey, all right, let's buy right now. Boom, buy 5,000. Buy another, keep going and just driving these things up. It would help my YouTube stats. It probably would, Tom. But the last thing I want to be known for is a shyster, scammer, fraud. And if you edit it that way, I would look like a shyster, scammer, fraud. And I definitely don't want that. Yeah, Lisa, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And the sad part is most people just will, even though everybody can recite that and knows, if it sounds so good to be true, it probably is. The vast majority of people just don't adhere to it and they don't listen to it. They think, oh, wow, this offer is just for me. This isn't too good to be true. Yeah, it probably is. All right, let me go into your earnings calendar or economic calendar for tomorrow. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about for tomorrow, so let's start there. Thursday, November 9th. There it is. Sam Bankman-Rothschild. No, definitely not. I would not want to be in an orange jumpsuit. Not my look, not my vibe. Maybe for Halloween, but that's about it. There is a Friends of Merlin said, I saw that one. You can do it there, Tom. Go for it. For tomorrow, what do we have? We've got unemployment claims, which is your typical stuff. You have the 30-year bond auction, which, given what happened with the 10-year, you're probably going to see those yields come out lower than 4.8%. That would be great. And again, Jerome Powell will be speaking tomorrow yet again, but he's speaking at 11 a.m. tomorrow, Pacific time. So keep that one in mind. Midday, you're going to see some moves in the market because Jerome Powell said something. I also call this one, if you watch the Monday Morning Must-Knows that I do for Online Trading Academy, you have I call it the UK day. It's just so many different announcements for the British pound. You've got their GDP numbers, preliminary GDP, construction output, goods trade balances, index of services, industrial production, manufacturing production, preliminary business inventory. So much. And the reason that you should, if you're a currency trader, I know we've got a couple here. I think Skilled Stocksman, you're a currency guy. You look at this British pound, go back here to the current data. Right? It's broken through in the past, week. It's broken through that downtrend line, at least broken this high and made a new pivot high. So kind of interesting to see what's going on with that British pound. Do we get more strength because of their economic data? Time will tell, of course. We'll be talking about that not on Thursday's show, but on Friday's show, because that happens tomorrow after I finish the market or the show. Yeah, Jay Powell is a rally killer. You never know, man. So he's the one that created this rally in the first place, right? I think that Jerome Powell's comments are what really vaulted this market last Wednesday. We have not stopped. We haven't slowed down since last Wednesday. It's like, damn you, Jerome Powell, serenity now. Earnings-wise, what do we have? We had Disney today. That was your big name. I'll run through the names that happened today just so you guys can see them. You had Disney. You had Kronos, so your cannabis company. Hey, they're not losing any money. At least that's what they reported. And that was pretty much it. You had Take-Two Interactive, which is supposed to report, but they haven't done so yet. You had Teva Pharmaceuticals. They came in line with expectations, so nothing exciting there. Now for tomorrow, your Thursday, you have 636 companies reporting earnings. Canopy Growth, Aurora Cannabis, Illumina, The Trade Desk, WestRock, Neo. Mainly small stuff. You do have AstraZeneca, you have Sony, Petróleo Brasileiro, Allianz, and a couple others like that. But no, I wouldn't say any A-listers on that list for tomorrow. All right, that said, it's Wednesday. I'm done. I've talked about my electrical bill. We've talked about all kinds of crazy scams. We've talked about Disney's great earnings. Is this going to be a Mythical Minute show? No, we're going to wrap it up right now, Tom. And it's funny, every time I look at my watch at half past the hour, I'm like, all right, we're going to wrap this show up. And then all of a sudden, it's like, we're at 50 after. How did that happen? How does this happen? It's your questions. All right, that's going to do it for me for today, everybody. I will wrap it up. I know you don't want the hour show. Anyway, if you have comments, questions, feedback, things you want me to discuss, send it in at TraderMerlin@gmail.com, or just put them down below the YouTube videos. If you do, I will most likely include you on these slide decks as I did yesterday. I like putting names on slides like this one yesterday from Marcus. At what point will you buy oil? Looks like a buy now. And I said, no, not quite yet. I actually think that it'll be a buy a little bit lower from current levels, which is why I sold puts on XLE at the $80 strike price. That said, everybody, have a fantastic remainder of your evening. I will see you all on our Thursday show. Take care.